I find myself getting dressed early on this July morning, preparing for what should be a light-hearted event at a children's basketball clinic. The summer sun is bright through the windows of the White House as I adjust my tie. Today, I am scheduled to meet Angel Reese and spend time with young athletes learning the game. My military aide, Lieutenant Commander Robert Reeves, walks beside me with the ever-present briefcase known as the nuclear football. I never truly forget what it contains, but on mornings like this, I allow myself to focus on the joy ahead. The gymnasium is filled with young girls dribbling basketballs and practicing their shots. I smile genuinely as I watch them, remembering simpler times when my biggest concern was making a free throw. Angel Reese welcomes me warmly, and the cameras capture what everyone hopes will be a perfect photo opportunity. The children's laughter echoes through the space, and for a few precious moments the weight of the presidency feels lighter on my shoulders. Then everything changes in an instant. A Secret Service agent approaches with an expression I have learned to dread during my time in office. Something is wrong, terribly wrong. Before I can finish greeting the young athletes, I am being escorted rapidly out of the building. My security detail moves with urgent precision, their faces revealing the gravity of whatever has occurred. I barely have time to wave goodbye before finding myself inside the presidential motorcade. Inside the vehicle, secure communication devices come alive with voices I recognize. Captain Olivia Walker from the White House Situation Room briefs me on the unthinkable. A missile has been detected mid-flight over the Pacific Ocean. It was not spotted at launch, which is deeply concerning. The trajectory analysis indicates it is heading toward the continental United States, with an estimated target somewhere in the Midwest. Chicago, the city of millions, is directly in the path of this unknown threat. I feel my heart rate increase as the enormity of this situation washes over me. 18 minutes. That is all the time we have before impact. 18 minutes to understand what is happening, who is responsible, and what response, if any, I must authorize. The defense readiness condition is elevated to level 2, and I can hear in the voices of my advisors the controlled panic that accompanies such an escalation. Secretary of Defense Reed Baker joins the call from the Pentagon. His voice carries the weight of experience, but I detect something else beneath the professionalism. Later, I will learn that his daughter, Caroline, lives in Chicago. In this moment, I do not know the personal tragedy unfolding for him, even as he fulfills his duty to the nation. He authorizes the continuity of operations plan, triggering evacuations across Washington. Government officials begin moving towards secure locations, the machinery of survival clicking into motion. At Fort Greely in Alaska, Major Daniel Gonzalez and his team are our first line of defense. I listen as General Longman at Northern Command directs them to launch ground-based interceptors. These missiles are designed to intercept incoming threats, essentially hitting one fast-moving object with another. The first interceptor experiences a malfunction and fails to launch properly. My stomach tightens as we wait for the second attempt. Everyone on the call holds their breath. The second interceptor launches successfully, but misses its target. The incoming threat continues on its path toward Chicago. The DEFCON level rises to 1. This is the highest state of alert, indicating that global conflict is imminent. Around the world, other nations are watching. They are seeing our military assets mobilize and are responding in kind. The security dilemma that scholars discuss in theoretical terms is playing out in real time. Every defensive action we take appears offensive to others, who then feel compelled to respond. My motorcade arrives at Andrews Air Force Base, and I am quickly transferred to Marine One. As the helicopter lifts off, I look down at the capital city that I have sworn to protect. Somewhere below, millions of people are going about their daily routines, unaware of the crisis unfolding above them. The weight of their trust sits heavily upon me as we fly toward an undisclosed, secure location. Aboard the aircraft, Lieutenant Commander Reeves opens the nuclear football. He removes a document that I have reviewed many times, but never thought I would need to use in earnest. The Nuclear Decision Handbook contains my options for responding to exactly this type of situation. Each option is laid out with clinical precision, describing different levels of response and their anticipated consequences. Reading these pages feels different now than it did during briefings. This is no longer theoretical. I ask to speak with Anna Park, our National Intelligence Officer specializing in North Korea. She joins the call from an unusual location, a Civil War reenactment in Pennsylvania. Despite the historical chaos around her, Park provides crucial analysis. She explains that North Korea has been developing the capability to launch missiles from modified submarines. This could explain why our satellites did not detect the launch. However, she cautions that without more information, we cannot definitively identify who is responsible. Russia and China both possess similar capabilities. Deputy National Security Advisor Jake Barrington advocates for restraint. He reminds everyone on the call that other nuclear powers are watching our every move. If we launch a preemptive strike based on incomplete information, we could trigger the very global catastrophe we hope to prevent. His pregnant wife Lily is being evacuated from Capitol Hill at this very moment, adding personal stakes to his professional counsel. General Anthony Brady at Strategic Command presents a starkly different perspective. From his command center in Nebraska, he argues that uncertainty itself is dangerous. If we wait for clarity that may never come, we risk leaving the nation vulnerable to further attacks. He recommends striking all potential adversaries simultaneously to ensure that whoever is responsible faces consequences. The military assets are ready. Bombers have reached their designated positions. Missiles are fueled and prepared. Submarines have completed their arming procedures. I request that Barrington establish contact with the Russian Minister of Foreign Affairs. Perhaps diplomatic channels can provide clarity that our intelligence cannot. The conversation relayed back to me offers little comfort. The Russian minister denies responsibility, but refuses to stand down military forces without authorization from the Russian president. We are all trapped in a deadly game of uncertainty, each side unable to take the first step toward de-escalation. I disconnect from the conference call. I need a moment to think, to breathe, to process the impossible decision before me. The isolation of the presidency has never felt more absolute. I am surrounded by advisors, generals, and experts, but ultimately this choice rests with me alone. Whatever happens next, history will judge my decision made in these few remaining minutes. I try to call my wife. She is in Kenya, half a world away, engaged in her own important work. The line connects, and hearing her voice brings a brief moment of comfort amidst the chaos. I want to warn her about what is happening, to express the weight I am carrying, to hear her wisdom one last time. But the connection is unstable, and the call ends prematurely due to technical difficulties. I am left holding a silent phone, the static a cruel reminder of how fragile our connections truly are. Robert Reeves sits across from me, the nuclear decision handbook still open on his lap. He has been trained for this moment, prepared to guide me through the authentication procedures that will verify my authority to issue nuclear commands. His face is professional, but I can see the humanity beneath the uniform. He knows, as I do, that the decisions made in this helicopter will echo through generations. I think about Chicago. I have visited that city many times. I remember the lakefront, the architecture, the energy of its people. Millions of souls going about their morning routines, sending children to school, commuting to work, meeting friends for coffee. They do not know what is hurtling toward them through the sky. They cannot know that across the nation, their president is weighing their fate alongside the fate of the entire world. I rejoin the conference call. General Brady is waiting, the authentication procedures ready to proceed. I confirm my identity using the codes printed on what we call the biscuit, the card that travels with me everywhere. Brady asks for my orders regarding a retaliatory nuclear strike. This is the moment I have always hoped would never come, the question that every president prays they will never have to answer. I think about the phrase that I used earlier in conversation with Reeves. We are living in a house filled with dynamite. The entire world exists in a state of precarious balance, where any small spark could ignite destruction beyond imagination. The nuclear arsenals that nations maintain for deterrence have become their own form of mutual hostage-taking. We cannot use them without risking everything, yet we cannot eliminate them without trusting others to do the same. The seconds tick away. Everyone waits for my decision. I have spent my career preparing for leadership, studying history, consulting with experts, and developing my own moral framework. But nothing truly prepares you for a moment like this. No simulation captures the weight of real human lives hanging on your words. No textbook describes the loneliness of ultimate authority. I consider what kind of world my children will inherit, based on the choice I make in these final moments. I think about all the children at that basketball clinic earlier this morning, their whole lives ahead of them. I think about Caroline Baker in Chicago, Reed Baker's daughter, who has no idea that her father at the Pentagon is going through his own private agony. I think about the soldiers at Fort Greely who tried their best, but watch their interceptors fail. I think about Captain Walker in the Situation Room, who just called her husband to say goodbye. The request hangs in the air. General Brady asks again for confirmation of my orders. Around the world, military forces remain at the highest state of readiness. Allies and adversaries alike are watching to see how America will respond. The entire framework of international relations, built over decades of careful diplomacy and mutual deterrence, balances on this single moment in time. I open my mouth to speak, to give the order that will shape the future of humanity. The weight of the presidency has never been heavier than in this instant. All of my training, all of my experience, all of my faith in human nature and hope for the future comes down to the words I'm about to say. I authenticate my authority one final time, confirming that I am the commander-in-chief with the constitutional power to make this decision, and then I make my choice.